What's going on, everyone? Phil with Filthy Card Breaks here to do a quick recap of my experience at the 2023 National. It was in Chicago this year. I also went last year to Atlantic City, so I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to my previous experience in AC. So first off, traveling to Chicago is much easier than traveling to Atlantic City, so that was a big plus. It's a direct flight for me to get in there. So we arrived Thursday morning and went right to the show Thursday, basically as it was opening. Unfortunately, I just had the general admission tickets. So for those ticket booths, they kind of funnel you to the upstairs of the building, and there's just a giant mob of people that they're trying to get into two lines to head down these escalators. To be blunt, it's not very well designed. It's not very efficient or organized. It looks like if you had the VIP passes, you were able to go just through the front doors, which was on the floor level of the convention center. And that would have been much more, that would have been much easier to navigate. So if I go again to a national in Chicago, I'll definitely be getting the VIP pass to get in a little bit earlier and to not have to go through the cattle herd. So my first day, we get into the show. It is absolutely ginormous, and I really don't think I can overstate just how big the convention itself was. There's just tables everywhere, and if you've been watching any of the national coverage, I'm sure you're aware by now that unfortunately the AC was not functioning very well, so the building itself was very stuffy. I was basically sweating from probably the first 15 minutes I entered until we left later that afternoon. So it was very uncomfortable in there. There were a few spots of the show where it was cooler, like the Breakers Pavilion. That was nice. The first thing I did when I got in was I headed to the PSA booth because I wanted to try to cross over this Shohei Ohtani BGS 9.5 with no subgrades. Nat Turner, who is I think his title is the CEO of the parent company of PSA, posted on Twitter that if you had a card that you wanted to cross over to PSA, he would do the review for free. So I went over to PSA. I tweeted with Nat beforehand, Nat Turner, and went over to PSA. After a lot of back and forth trying to find a time when he was available, I was able to meet him up, hand over the Ohtani. I'm actually going to remove the sticker because it has my name and phone number on it. This is the sticker I used when I handed it to Nat. And unfortunately, he said that the card did not cross because he said there was an issue with one of the corners on the back that prevented it from crossing. I'm going to be super transparent. The corners all look very sharp to me. I'm sure PSA is looking at it under magnification, so they are probably seeing something I can't see. But just holding the card in my hand and looking at the corners, they all look really sharp. But unfortunately, Nat said there's an issue with one of the back corners, so it wouldn't cross to a PSA 10. I really appreciated that level of transparency because normally when you submit with PSA, you have no idea when any of your cards get any of the grades for the most part. So it was nice to know, like, hey, this is exactly what they saw that prevented the card from crossing. So that was a cool thing. I got to meet Nat Turner very briefly. We just exchanged a handful of words and contact information. But I tried to cross over this Shohei. It didn't work. I am going to put it on a stand just because it's a nice background piece. And it was a big part of my national experience. Aside from at the convention center, the air conditioning not being great, the layout for this show, in my opinion, was really bad. It was really poor. To their credit, it is a massive show, so I don't know if they could have done it any better. But comparing it to Atlantic City, in Atlantic City, most of the booths were kind of in a grid pattern, so it was easier for me to navigate and revisit things that I'd seen on a previous day, or earlier in the same day even. Whereas in Chicago, the convention center is segmented, so you have several different rooms, and they're all kind of oriented differently. So, maybe you'll have tables going this way in room A, and then it connects to room B here, and now all of a sudden the tables are going this way, but you have some other huge booths for corporate. I thought it was really difficult to navigate, and I just was completely lost a couple of times in the convention center. I have no idea where I am, and it makes it difficult to try to go through all the dealers when it's kind of disorganized like that. That was just my own experience. I don't know if that's the same for everyone else. The first day I was there, that Thursday, I actually only picked up one card. It was a vintage card from my Hank Aaron run. It is this 1956 Hank Aaron and SEC 3.5. I paid $225 for this card, so you can kind of ignore this sticker. I should have taken it off. I paid $225, and looks pretty sharp. A little off center left to right, and there's definitely some edge and corner wear. But I think the card presents really well. The colors on this copy are very vibrant. So I was really happy to add this to my Hank Aaron run. That was the only card I bought Thursday, and I did take several pictures of cards that I wanted to come back to, and one of those I picked up almost immediately, probably within the first 5 minutes of the show on Friday when we went back. We came in, and one of the very first dealers, like I mentioned for general admission, you have to come down escalators. So you go up in the convention center to where they're aggregating everyone for the general admission. Then when they open the gates, you go down escalators into the actual convention. And one of the first dealers at the end of the convention had a Mookie Betts BGS 9.5 auto. I had taken a picture of it, and then I actually found one more with these same subgrades. That is 3 9.5s and a 10 at another booth. And they both were priced the same. So it was one of those things. The card was priced at $1,000. So was the other one. That was the sticker price. And I had made up my mind that I was going to go to this first dealer. I was going to offer $900. That's what I was comfortable paying for the card. $900 cash. There would be no taxes or fees or anything. I was just going to go up to him, make that offer, and if he said no or counter offered, I was going to bypass it and go to the other dealer who I had taken pictures of. Luckily, I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, would you do $900 for the Mookie?" He immediately accepted, which, of course, when that happens, you're kind of thinking in the back of your mind, wow, I should have offered less. But overall, I'm very excited. This is a card I wanted, and it's a price that I thought was acceptable for the card. The comps are a little all over, and there may have been some of these that have sold since I bought this on Friday morning. But at the time I bought it, the last comp for this card was $1,100 on eBay. So assuming that sale is legitimate, I was very happy to get this for $900. I think the comp before that one was $850, but I believe, I'd have to check, I should check before I filmed. I believe the $850 copy had worse subgrades, and then even then, once you're factoring tax, you're already above $900. So I was very happy to get this card at that price, and it's just going to be the Mookie that I keep in my collection. I think he's going to be a slam dunk Hall of Famer, and he's having another fantastic season, so I was happy to add that. The next card I add here was a Rainbow Chase, and I actually got this from someone I met on Twitter. So this is the Futures Bright Acuna and Albies Black Parallel out of 67. I had posted on Twitter I was looking for this card, and someone reached out to me, Kicks Cards, and said that he had this, that he'd pulled it himself, and it had been in a card saver since he pulled it back in 2018. So we agreed to meet up at the National, and sure enough, he had the card. It's very, very sharp condition, and we were able to get a deal done. It was really great to meet him. He's a super nice guy, and he has an absolutely amazing Juan Soto collection. So check out Kicks Cards on Twitter if you're a big Soto fan. Just really impressive collection, super nice guy, and it's very easy to get a deal done with him for this card. The next couple of cards I picked up also from dealers at the show. This next one is an Ignacio Alvarez. This is a Bowman Chrome Auto refractor out of 40.99. Ignacio he's actually playing shortstop for the Braves. This is third base, but he's been playing shortstop. So I walked up to a table that had almost exclusively Bowman Chrome Autos. I made an offer on this card, and kind of just like the Mookie, he just immediately accepted. The dealer was really pleasant. We chatted for a while. He ended up being a Mets fan. So he told me that he got this card in a break, and when he got him, he didn't even know who he was, but he was sure he ended up being a Nets killer. If you're not familiar with Ignacio, he goes by Nacho. So Nacho Alvarez, I think, is a great baseball name. And he has really good contact skills. So with Nacho, it's going to kind of depend if he can develop some power. But I also just try to, in general, pick up Braves Bowman Chrome autos when the new products release. I usually wait a couple months, and then I can pick them up a little bit cheaper than they were on release. So Ignacio and J.R. Ritchie are the two Braves prospects from draft that I still needed to pick up. So I was excited to get a Nacho Alvarez card. See if I can set him over here by Hank. Yeah, we'll go with that. This next one was the only card I picked up at the show that wasn't on my wish list. I had written out an actual list of like, Phil, these are the cards you should target. And this one wasn't on my list, but it is this Ozzie Albies Bowman Chrome auto. I saw this. I don't have an Ozzie Bowman Chrome auto. I do have a Topps Chrome rookie auto, but I grabbed this, and it was very similar to the Mookie and the Ignacio. I made an offer. The dealer accepted my offer. I was comfortable with it. I think it was a slightly under comps for a card that I wanted. I did see a lot of people just on Twitter in general kind of complaining about pricing, but maybe it's because I was only looking for very specific cards and was willing to pay close to comps on them. Because even if you pay comps in cash, you're still saving taxes. And if you can get them under comps, that's even better. But I thought the dealers were priced okay, and I didn't have any issue negotiating with them to get the cards that I wanted at prices that I thought were reasonable or even good. So I don't know if my experience is different because I was only looking for very specific cards, or maybe, it was those people are collecting different sports. For instance, I don't know what the basketball or football market looked like. I don't collect those cards at all, so I didn't even look. But I think my experience was a little different there, at least from what I've read on Twitter. So we got the cool Ozzie auto. Before I show this last card off, one other thing I wanted to talk about was the trade nights. So Thursday is the sponsored trade night that's actually at the convention center. I went to that. It was fun, but we had to wait in the line for about an hour before we could actually get in. And then when we got in, it's massive and people have cards splayed everywhere. I actually came because I wanted to buy or trade for cards. But after a quick lap around the room, it's very congested. You have people all over these basically circular tables with their collections laid out, and I couldn't find the cards I wanted. So I just sat down. I was there with my buddy, and we laid out some cards. And I managed to sell a couple cards, actually. But I didn't get any trades done, and I didn't acquire any cards via trade or buying. And that's really what I was there for, because everyone says, trade night's a great opportunity to buy cards for under comps because you're not working with dealers. But at least in my case, I couldn't find the cards I wanted. But I did sell some cards, so that was nice. I got some more cash. That was Thursday night. Friday night, we went to the Lowe's Hotel, which is very close to the convention center. And I was just blown away by how collectors had basically taken over the lobby of this hotel and some of their conference space. We walked in, and there's people with their collections splayed out everywhere. This isn't like an official event. It's not connected to the convention center. It's just the hobby kind of taking over this hotel lobby. And at that trade night, I was able to pick up the last card I bought at the show. And it was this Bryce Harper 2011 Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto. Harper, much like Mookie, is a guy that I think is basically a surefire Hall of Famer. Harper has 2 MVPs now and a ton of WAR. He's still in his early 30s, so assuming there's not like a significant decline in his production, I think he's going to get in very easily. So I wanted a nice Bryce Harper auto, or even like a rookie card parallel for my collection. So I was able to find someone who had this at trade night. He took a look through my stuff. He pulled out the Juan Soto Hands on Hip SP from his rookie year. I had that card in a PSA 9. And basically I said, hey, here are the options. I will offer you this much in cash, straight cash for the Harper, or if you want this Soto, because you're willing to do some trade, I will do it for the Soto plus this much cash. The difference was about 150. The Soto comps around 200. But if someone's willing to take some of the value in this card in trade bait, I was willing to pay a higher percentage in cash. He ended up taking the trade. I was able to land the Harper, and I was super happy with that. We'll go ahead and put the Bryce on the stand. So that's basically all of my pickups from the National. We thought about going to the show Saturday, but we actually ended up just going into the city. I was there with a buddy, my wife, and another friend, so there was 4 of us. We went into the city. We had brunch, walked around. We went to a White Sox game, which was really fun. The White Sox won. They're not having a good year, but they looked really good then. Tim Anderson hit his only home run of the year. So the White Sox game was fun, and then Sunday we headed back. So I guess for my final thoughts is I really enjoyed the show. It was great. It was a great atmosphere. The only 2 issues I have are the AC in the convention center not working. That's unfortunate, and the layout of the show. Everything else I thought was pretty good. There was a great selection. You have all the corporate vendors and the dealers there, and I was able to pick up several cards that I wanted. They're close to the convention center. There was a part called the Entertainment District in Rosemont. There was a lot of cool bars and restaurants there. So Sunday before our plane left, we checked that out. I thought it was a really neat part of Chicago suburbs. And it was a fun trip, so definitely enjoyed it, had a good time. And thanks for watching and looking at my pickups and hearing me drag on about the National. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any thoughts about my pickups or anything I said, please leave a comment down below. Or if you went to the National yourself, I'd love to hear what your experience was. Hope everyone has a fantastic day, and be well.